Okay, my name is Amanda Dillard, and this is my submission for the In Conversation assignment for Chapter 1. So I'm going to start by asking you guys a question. Do you guys think that the increase in texting with younger people is inhibiting their ability to have more meaningful conversations in person?
I do. I just actually had a recent conversation with a coworker of mine, and we were talking about how him and his girlfriend had just gone out on a date, and they decided they wanted to have a date together, and they were going to spend some personal time together. While they were there, they decided, or they ordered the food, they were waiting for the food, and all of a sudden they were just sitting there playing on their phones. While they're playing on their phones, they're sitting there, and all of a sudden, Nahum, my coworker, he tells me, "Did you just text me instead of talking to me?" And it's one of the things that I've noticed, even like with us in our relationship, we decided to go out and do something together. And when we're spending that time together, we're actually on our phones more so than we are actually spending time talking to each other. So yeah, I do believe that it's a problem in this generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really have to agree. Actually, at work even, I'll be talking to people about work projects, and then people just they'll just be texting or even just sending an instant message online on Facebook or something, which I think is kind of the same. But they'll just be doing that, and kind of it really feels like they're only paying kind of half attention to you.
Yeah. Well, see, I know it's probably the same for you, but when we're at work, we can't really be on our phones, and so I'm not used to really constantly being distracted. But once I get home, yeah, I'm pretty much. But for me, when I was growing up, and as I am now, I'm kind of more of an introvert, to where I never really enjoyed calling people in the first place. So before, like when I was in high school and whatnot, I never really bothered to call people or really go to their house to ask them a question, because that's not really reasonable. So once texting came around, it was actually kind of opening a door for me as someone who didn't really like calling. I could just ask you a simple question, and then it kind of gets more into where people are doing it all the time. But, I mean, at least to one regard, I think it's kind of a good thing. It's just different, I guess. I don't know.
It can be good, but at the same thing, you can get to the point with the text, but at the same time, you don't get the feeling behind what's going on within the conversation. I mean, there's many times where people will, they mean one thing, but then text it, and then the person that's receiving it completely takes it a different way.
Yeah.
Sure.
But wouldn't that be the same, though? Like, if you were like, we'll go back about 50 years, if you were writing somebody a letter, do you think that, or is it just because it's longer, or, I mean, it would be kind of the same problem with any kind of written correspondence.
It's a very good point.
Well, at the same time, a great example, I always try to text Kevin here, and I'm like, hey, I want to hang out, let's do this. But sometimes I feel it seems kind of less sincere when you're doing a text and calling, but at the same time, it's like, who has time to talk to somebody?
That's true, because he could be in the middle of something. And,
right.
Yeah.
You don't want to interrupt somebody.
Right, and I know your hours at work are different than my hours, and yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's more convenient. But I think another thing, too, is at our age, that might be different than some of my other classmates, is that we didn't really have smartphones when we were in school. And so we are kind of past that a little bit, too, I think, where we're already more developed in our skills when it became a popular thing to do.
That's a very true point.
Yeah, but, like these younger people, well, like I was telling Mitchell before, we talked about this, that it was really kind of after when Columbine happened, and then people started getting phones, but that we were still pretty old by then. And then it got more to where it became a casual thing and not a here's a phone in case of emergency. These phones can now text. Oh, now my friends have one. Now we can talk in class. And now that's the only way we're talking. But we're kind of past that a little bit. So.
And those are also the days where text messages were like 25 cents a piece.
That's true. All right. Well, thank you guys for doing this with me. And I hope that this worked out. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.